Good morning, and welcome to PowerPoint Night on It's a Gray Matter. As usual, we're going to dive right into our little bowl of randomness. For neuroimaging, we'll be working with Magnetoencephalogram. For our hook, we'll be using something a little more sus. Among Us. You could say I have imposter syndrome. And for our theme, we'll be using gallery. So, I'll get to work, and I'll see y'all in a few minutes. So, let's get started with magnetoencephalography, our good friend MEG. Is it my best joke? No. Is it staying in? Yes. And as you can see, we've got some imposters among us this time. We're going to start with the mechanisms of MEG. It measures electric signals of neurons, specifically the postsynaptic potentials of neurons after the fire of pyramidal cells. These are primarily sensory cells that are mostly in the cerebral cortex, and they have receiving branches called dendrites that together form a pyramid shape. Kind of like the cheerleader pyramids in 90s movies. So MEG uses magnetic fields to measure these signals, and image resolutions are within the centimeter. It's analyzed with image reconstruction, noise cancellation, and independent component analysis. It also uses a minimum norm estimate, which is a technique used to utilize source points over brain regions to minimize the total current. And then it uses a time frequency analysis, which uses signals extracted from target regions. And it ends with an oscillatory analysis, which is the main measure. It uses brain waves via oscillations to measure variations in neural activity electrically. Next up, we have the current uses and goals. So here we're looking at what we have now, and we're pointing to future directions. Currently, MEG is used for organizing the connectome, which connects all the neurons and synapses in the brain. It's also used to measure relationships, be it correlation or coupling, between brain regions that normally aren't very close to each other, such as the neocortex and thalamus. In the future, people would like to use MEG to study differences in electrical activity of psychiatric disorders such as schizophrenia, autism, and dementia. They would also like to study differences in electrical activity of movement disorders and deep brain stimulation. In addition, they'd like to model whole brain networks via computer, and lots of researchers think that MEG would be a great way to do that. And finally, some researchers would like to use MEG to study OCD neuropathology. According to Hiranaga and colleagues in 2020, there's a theory that OCD may have to do with the basal ganglia and more subcortical structures. And so when MEG has refined itself to be able to look at subcortical structures, it would be a good method to look at that OCD neuropathology. So now we have the pros and cons. We have a good balance, as per usual, with this neuroimaging. We have multiple noise cancellation methods as a pro. MEG uses both gradient formation and an offline max filter. Noise cancellation not only good for MEGs. Noise-canceling headphones are also a great way to get a good night's sleep. It's very non-invasive, which makes it suitable for child psychiatry, which would be good for looking at disorders such as autism and ADHD. And this non-invasive measure allows measures during sleep. However, these magnetic fields pose problems to children, which is going to be a problem for child psychiatry. It also has lower signal penetration compared to fMRI and EEG, so it requires that image reconstruction. Then it uses more complex data analysis than most other neuroimaging methods, in part to that image reconstruction, with other neuroimaging method that normally is just motion correction rather than a reconstruction entirely. And finally, as of right now, it is difficult to measure subcortical structures, but researchers are working to remedy that. So that wraps up my presentation, and now we're pointing to the references. So hope you enjoyed your time among us in this presentation. Thanks to everybody who's been watching, liking, subscribing, and I hope to see y'all next time on It's a Gray Matter.